All right, we finished up the problem statement. We finished up the flow chart and we tested it with our corrected data file. And the last thing we need to do is code it. So again, I'm going to go into my CPT114 folder and go to HTML soft, HTML kit, and bin, and then I'm going to double click on the HTML exe. Again, if you didn't see it on the other ones, if you don't see .exe at the end of this, you want to go up to the view menu, click on it, and make sure file name extensions is checked. If it's not checked, it disappears and you don't see the exe. Very important that you see those extensions. All right, so double click on the HTML kit.exe and HTML kit will open up like this. All right, so the first thing we want to do is get rid of this file section. I'll close that there. And I'll come down here and close the messages section. You can do it with these icons down here too. So you can see this right here. If I click on that, it opens up, it closes, opens up, it closes. Either way, the next thing I want to do is get rid of all the HTML and then type my script tags. So it's less than symbol, script, greater than symbol, and then less than symbol, slash, script, greater than symbol. All right, so now we're ready to go. Now I'll make some space. I'm going to come into my problem statement and I'm going to start with my constants and copy all the way down to my last output. Control C, or I'm going to copy, and then in here do Control V, and I have most of my stuff done. Say the first thing I want to do is go into my var, or go into my blank places in memory, VAR. And where do I get my var from, or my blank places in memory? It's all my input and the result of all my calculations. So in this case, you can see that they're all in output, so that makes it a little bit easier. So if I go ahead and do copy this, Control C, and come up here and Control V, all I need to do is at the end of each one, comma, space, delete, then go to the end, comma, space, delete, and then go to the end, and might as well do a semicolon here. And then on the next line, do another var. Like I said, you can continue all the way out here, but I like to make it so it's not taking so much room. And then now we're going to need blank places in memory for all these, which represent our result of calculations. Control C, Control V, and then do the same thing. Comma, space, delete, end. Whoops. Comma, delete, end, comma, space, delete, and then semicolon for my last one. All right, so that's all my blank places in memory. My constants, I'm going to do 2 slashes. And if you want, you can have assignments and then constants, whichever way you want. We just want to make sure that you know that you have to have these here. Each of these is going to start with a var. So I'm going to copy var, Control C, and then paste it 3 times. Control V, Control V, Control V. Each one of these have to have semicolons at the end. So semicolon, semicolon, semicolon. So if you do it in a organized way, you won't miss anything. Input is also a comment. So we'll do 2 slashes. Calculations is a comment. So 2 slashes. And then output is also a comment. So we'll do 2 slashes. So for my input, if you remember, we have to do the chant. I have a place in memory called num adult tick. I want to assign to that place in memory was returned from my prompt when I asked this question, semicolon. Inside, I have 2 arguments. One is what a question I want to ask, and of course that's so you can get that from your flowchart if you wish, but it might be easier just typing it here. So this is going to be how many adult tickets, question mark. And then the second argument is what do we want in the prompt box when it comes up. So the best thing for us to do is to use our practice data. So you can see for our practice data, we're using the number 2. So the next two are very similar. So I'm simply just going to copy those, Control C, and paste them twice, Control V, Control V. And now this has to be child, and this is going to be senior. See how fast that is? And from our practice data, we know that we're going to use 3 and we're going to use 1. Now we don't have to type anything when we run it because it'll already have our practice data in. Calculations are the easiest, semicolon, 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 semicolon. And that leaves us our output. And we have to do a little more typing here. Each one of these is going to be a document, document dot write, and then open parenthesis, close parenthesis, semicolon. I recommend you do it that way, or you're going to forget something at the end here. Just put them in right away. And then we have our label. Now we've already have a label for that. And if we go to our flowchart, we can double click here, copy everything to the left of adult cost, Control C, and then come back and paste it in right here. We've already tested it, so we know that works. So what about the rest? Let's go ahead and we know that we're going to need document write parenthesis. So we'll do Control C, and I'll do Control V, Control V, Control V. I also know that I have to have a parenthesis semicolon at the end, so I'll do Control C, Control V, Control E, Control V. So the more I can copy and paste, the faster everything is. And now I can go back to my flowchart and get my next labels. Or I can just go ahead and copy this, Control C, Control V, just like we did with our flowchart, and change this to child. Now the other issue we have is that starting with the second document write, inside the quote and before the first character, we're going to put HTML in. We're going to put a less than symbol, BR, greater than symbol. That's the break tag. And what we want to tell the web page when we create it is I want you to break the line just before here. So this ends up on a new line. Again, that's going to make our lives a little bit easier. So let's do this. I'm going to copy now this entire line, Control C, and then I'm going to select document write parenthesis and do Control V, and then do the same thing here, Control V. And now I have my BRs in. I have everything perfect. The only thing I got to do now is change this to senior and change this. Well, I'm going to change this completely. So let's go back to our flowchart and get it from there since that's totally different. I'm not going to get the quote. I'm just going to get that. Control C, because I already have the quote in here. And let's see. And I'll select this all the way to the BR tag. Control V. That's why you left out the other quote, because if I put the quote in there, then I'd be off on my quotes. So how confident am I that this is going to run every time, first time every time? I'm very confident because I've copy and pasted everything. I've tested it in my flowchart. If you ask a student taking CPT 167, which is the Java class, what percentage of the time does your code run first time? And they will tell you it never runs first time. And that's because they do not use this step-by-step methodology. After this class, if you move on to the CPT 167 Java class, remember what you've learned in this class. solve everything on paper first, and then do a good flow chart. In that one, you'll be using Raptor rather than Visual Logic because that works better with Java. And then write your code based upon your flow chart and do a lot of copy and pasting. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and preview this. Watch me have an error now. And we do. All right, so 69, I have a problem, and that's good. Unterminated constant. Let's go see what's going on line 69. 69? That can't be right. Well, line 27. All right, so line 27, that's the one that I did over here. So I probably have, let's see. Yeah. See, I have this, well, I have an extra quote. That's the problem with me doing it the way I did. Don't do that. Just copy and paste it from your flow chart. It would have been just as easy. All right. Good. So 2, 3, 1, 20, 15, 8, 43. We know this is perfect now. Now, if we want to go ahead and get a little bit fancier, we can go ahead down here and add two fixed. So that's dot, TO, capital F, IXED, and then another set of parentheses because we have to tell it how many places we want to go out, and that's 2. Again, this is just saying that I want to take whatever is in here and send it to the toFix function so I can add 2 decimal places. And then I'll copy the dot toFixed to parentheses, Control C, Control V, Control V, Control V. And you really should do it just the way I did it. Test it without first, then add it and retest it. Because if the more complexity you put into your code, the more chances of an error, and then the harder it is to find your errors. So we ran this and it worked perfect. So now if it doesn't run perfect, we know, well, what we just added was what caused the problem. That's called the build-in test methodology, and we're going to start doing that once our problems get a little more complicated. So let's go ahead and review it again. So we got 2, 3, 1, bam. And you can see now we have 2 decimal places on each one. Perfect. And now all we have to do is save this. And we already have movie tickets. So we'll call this movie tickets 2. That's the problem with doing similar ones. And now we have it. And if we take a look at our 114, we can see that everything is nicely organized. I'm ready to do, I've done all the lessons for assignment 2, and there they are. And while I'm doing assignment 2, if I have any problems, I can always go look back at my lessons to see how I did things. All right, that's the end of this lesson. On to the next.